FS1.
Discover alerts you if they find your social security number on any 1,000 of the risky websites. I used to think it was just darkweb.com, but Joy told me there's many bad websites. Free for card members. Sign up online, discover.com/free alerts. Limitations apply. Apparently, there's all sorts of scary websites out there. So, Doug Gottlieb joining me, the Duggar. Okay, I want to start with Kawhi. The shot heard round at least Canada, not the world. I'm gonna throw you, and we all saw the picture, right? We had Fred VanVleet on yesterday. It's amazing. Congrats. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's staying in Canada. If they get blown out by Milwaukee, it doesn't mean anything. He's already been the NBA Finals MVP. Okay, it's not the biggest thing in his life. Let me throw this at you: the shoe deal. New Balance went all in on him. He's their guy. He's not much of a talker to begin with. If you don't have much of a talker, and I get all my chips on the table for Kawhi, I'd like to at least have a market talk for you, Los Angeles over Toronto. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but this shot didn't mean anything to me long term.
I generally agree. First, the shot itself, I've never seen that. I've watched a lot of basketball in my life. And, synthetic basketballs they use in college and in high school, sometimes they have bizarre bounces. But to see one hit the front rim twice, then the back rim twice, and then go in, I've never seen that. That's an unbelievable shot, in addition to over Joel Embiid, falling away into the bench, doing the old squat and watching it, the whole thing. But I've never seen a shot. Maybe it's because I'm not a shooter. That's a shooter's role, right? But I agree with you. I don't think it changes if Kawhi stays. I don't think he cares. I think he likes playing basketball.
Yeah.
I think he likes that he's the guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any sort of affinity towards Canada.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with New Balance's shoe deal, right? I'm sitting here wearing these new Kevin Durant shoes, right? But they were selling them in Oklahoma City. They'll sell them in Golden State. They sell a guy because he's marketable. I don't think that matters, especially the idea of going to the Clippers. When the Clippers were rolling and they had Blake Griffin and Chris Paul is a Jordan brand guy. It's not like people were running out in droves to get his shoes.
Okay.
If you win, if you're successful, if people want to emulate the way in which you play, if you have a little bit of swag, they'll buy your shoes. It's really that simple. I actually think Canada would be a better spot to sell shoes because it's unique. It's a huge international market. It's actually a huge kind of basketball wellspring for a lot of talent for the present day and the future in basketball. But I don't think this has anything to do with New Balance. New Balance is the perfect shoe for Kawhi, right?
Yeah.
New Balance makes basketball shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and their spokesperson is somebody who doesn't actually speak. That's great.
Let's go back to Zion. The two things I see, I think he has from the smile and the love for the game, there's a magic feel. As a player, there's some Barkley and some Larry Johnson where he just looks bigger and stronger than college kids, and he's got that Barkley where for his size, even though he'd be a 4, he's about 6'6", and he just runs the floor for a big guy really, really well. Yeah. And you throw some Blake and some Karl Malone and all this stuff, but the love of the game is very Magic, and the style of game is very Barkley and Larry Johnson. Let's just
Steph
talk.
Curry love of the game, too. One of the things that draws us to Steph Curry. Steph Curry seems to be having a good time out there.
I think that really matters. What worries you about his game? What worries you?
His body. It's 285 pounds. He's 6'5" 3/4 bare feet. That's a lot of weight. And if you saw the torque that it put on the shoes,
it's incredible.
That's the torque that's being put on his ankles, his knees, and his hips, and his back. So, look, I think here's what people have to remember. He's perfect for the new NBA.
Yeah.
Perfect. Long arms, great lateral agility. He has, when he turns it on, he's got a pretty good motor. That was the big questions last year. He was a little bit heavy, and he didn't necessarily always have a great motor, and he couldn't really shoot. He's improved as a shooter, he's improved his body, and he's improved his motor, to which he plays hard. I think he benefited greatly from playing at Duke around their culture. And I think he fits in. And do you remember the movie Weird Science?
Yeah, I do.
John Hughes movie, right?
Yeah.
Where they're, was it Anthony Michael Hall, where they're cutting up, they're cutting up the favorite things they liked of different models.
Yeah.
And then poof, out comes a woman. Right? That's exactly what it is. It's Larry Johnson. It's a little LeBron. It's, a little Barkley, a little Blake Griffin, a little Draymond Green. And he'll be a better offensive version, more athletic version of Draymond Green. But the only fear is, I guess he's got to continue to develop his jump shot and his body, right? He's big boned. He's thick. He doesn't look like a basketball player. His legs are football thick.
Yeah.
Can you thin him out and not change who he is?
Yeah. God, I love watching. I just absolutely, my favorite college player.
He and as good as he is to watch on TV, you go watch him in person and is jaw-dropping. You can't stop watching him. He can score in the post. He likes to pass. His teammates like him. He plays hard. There's nothing not to like about the kid.
Yeah, really easy to root for. Okay, I'm going to throw this at you. The Philadelphia, I think, is fascinating. Outside of the Warriors, they're my favorite team in the league to watch. And, part of it is they're a little bit of a hot mess. Simmons and Embiid don't work. Butler doesn't get along. Redick's the only guy I know what I get. Tobias wants to get max money as a B player. It's fascinating. They're going to have to make choices. Somebody proposed today, I'll just throw this at you. LeBron could get out from under the Kobe shadow. Right now, he's got Frank Vogel and C-Guy. I'm going to throw it at you. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and a top 10 pick for LeBron.
They're not trading LeBron James. You just talked about how you played a clip earlier about how LeBron, the business side of the Lakers is still going well via Bill Plaschke, but one more year. Like the whole business thing is built around 23 wearing a Lakers uniform, bringing them back to prominence. They're not rebuilding. They're not scrapping it 1 year in. It's not happening. It's not really people who discuss that. It sounds great. The reality of it is LeBron just moved his family to LA. He's not moving his family to Philadelphia.
But they could trade him.
I understand. But in the league, a player like LeBron, he doesn't have a no trade clause, but he has a no trade clause. I'm not going. Trade me wherever you want. I'm not going.
So what's Philly do with Ben Simmons?
I think they just have to improve him. You're not bailing on Ben Simmons. I saw Chris Broussard say, well, he's traded him for Chris Paul's contract. Houston has no value for a guy who can't shoot, who needs the basketball. They have the best guy with the basketball in the NBA who can shoot. They don't want him. I think you just have to get him better. You got Joel Embiid has to dedicate himself to working on his body, and I think Ben Simmons has to dedicate himself to working on his game. You don't bail on guys in their rookie contracts that are all-stars. It's his second year in the NBA. Look, track anybody's second year in the NBA. Granted, third year in total, but there's a ton of room for growth. My issue with Ben Simmons is it's not just the shot physically, it's the shot mentally. He's almost too smart for his own good, and that he knows he can't make it, so he won't take it. Whereas Giannis didn't have that type of basketball intellect early on, and he would take a lot of threes that he couldn't make, and eventually he's gotten to where now occasionally he'll make 2 or 3, and you have to guard him. So I think next year that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to lose some games during the regular season because Ben Simmons is going to have to take those shots. But I think ultimately he will.
So they'll move. They can't sign all 4 of those guys.
No. And look, I don't know if they want to sign Butler or they don't want to sign Butler. My guess would be they try and retain Tobias Harris. Butler's the type of guy that could very well end up with the Lakers.
Yeah. Tobias is big. He rebounds well. He's a big body. He's going to want more money than I want to pay him, though.
Sure. They're all going to want more money than you want to pay him. That's kind of part of the deal here. I think that's the business. Look, to me, they have – the reason they lost that game was not Kawhi's shot. They had 3 empty possessions late.
That's exactly right.
That's the big thing, and – Embiid's got to be in better shape. They got to make better decisions. And, yes, Ben Simmons has to learn to shoot the basketball.
I love watching him play. I
enjoy it as well.
I love Philadelphia. Okay, Rick Barry, Bill Raftery's next hour. Doug Gottlieb, it's the Duggar. His show is right after ours on Fox Sports Radio. Coming up next, Zion or a current NBA star? Who would I trade Zion for if I land him at number 1? Next.